what you're saying, Shekinah, about them in them fire ass Montclair jackets and everybody wearing it. That's part of the whole sneaker culture. That's part of streetwear. That's why they in love with Takashi Murakami, and that's why they pay the money for these expensive ass coats, because it's about showing up. It's like you carrying your own brand as this person when you have these things, and other people who are incorporated into this world of the streetwear, they understand it. And that's also the niche that Artifact holds, will be an Artifact, because, and I said this right before I got off before, but once they get into that ecosystem and people know that Artifact is the luxury side of Nike, and they have these collaborations because Takashi Murakami is they're part of their collaborator for this project, it's gonna go stupid dumb 50 ham. Like, this is just how it works, and people pay the prices for that. Like that Montclair jacket, I got my wife a Montclair jacket in 2021, 2020. The joint is $5,000 just for the jacket.
And it's still lasting.
The hat was $200 by itself. The knit cap, and it's just, if you want it and you want to be a part of the game, you're gonna pay it. And people pay these prices because they're part of the culture, and that's like Bombay said. It's so enjoyable to be a part of it. So you stand in these lines, pay the money. I pinned this shoe to the top. These Paris Dunks. And Demi, I know you know about these.
Oh, that's my all-time girls, bro. All time. That's my number
Look,
one shoe.
click on there and see how much they want for them, and somebody gonna buy them, because it's not just his all time girl. It's somebody. It's a lot of people's all time girl. It's just part of the culture, and we so fucking early. I hate to say this because it sounds so cliche, but we are.
Yeah,
It's like
Also, just the fits be different, bro, out here. Yeah, people be doing the high end stuff, but like a lot of secondhand and like thrifting stores. I mean, they got the top tier in there, but they just swag. They just know how to put a fit together. I thought I could dress until I came to Tokyo, and then it took my shit to the next level just because I had to keep up. But man, like they know how to put a fit together. Yeah, you're gonna see your Montclair stuff, Shekinah, but you also see them other dudes, those skater punks and all them. They put in fits together off of just thrifting and shit like that.
You can't copy it, because trust me, I was looking and I was like, okay, like I think I can do that, but you don't know where they got it, how they put it together.
And bro, the fit, it's like, how do you put the fit together? It took me a couple months, but I feel like I got a little bit down. But bro, it's all about the fit.
And like I said, it's artistic expression. People who are into fashion, I say this all the time, like, it's a way of showcasing who you are as an individual. It's a way to speak without having to open your mouth. That's what I say. Like, I say this to you guys when we in these spaces all the time. It's a form of artistic expression. Someone who might feel like they're a creator, they don't know 3D art, they don't know how to paint, they don't know how to sing, they don't know how to dance, but they can put some shit together artistically with the clothing that they pick because of their imagination. Right.
And it's inspiring, bro. Being around
Exactly.
it, like,
Exactly.
bro,
These
Tokyo.
are
I
things
mean,
I always
Tokyo
talk
took
about
over,
too,
bro.
though.
Tokyo took over Paris, bro. Like, I would consider Tokyo #1 fashion city in the world.
100%. But streetwear is taking over fashion. Before
Exactly.
it's the same thing as hip hop, right? Hip hop was the outs. Rapping was the outs, right? It was the outcast, right? They started from the bottom. Nobody wanted to be a part of it. Now it's taking over brands. It's taking over entire generations. It's the same thing with hip hop. Rap was shitty. Now it's homegrown. Same thing with streetwear, because rap and streetwear are synonymous. Streetwear and sneaker culture is synonymous. So it's taking over everything. So you see these top fashion houses going towards hip hop culture influencers because they run shit. You just saw Pharrell was appointed the creative director of Louis Vuitton. Like, who was before that? Virgil. You see what I'm saying? Who was before that? Demna.
Kanye.
Yes, Demna, part of Balenciaga. Who was with Demna with before that? Kanye. Like, it's all stemming from the same place. That's what I'm saying. We still here so early, and people who are on Web3 have no idea. They just complaining that they had to pay for some shoes because of a lace engine. But it's like, bro, all of this is tied together. An artifact can see that. He's just moving so far ahead. But it's just like Kanye was moving far ahead back in the day. When did he have Takashi Murakami on the album? That was 2009. It's 2023. People just now catching up. You see what I'm saying? And they still don't know. Certain people only want to be here for Web3. They don't want you talking about sneakers. They don't want you talking about clothing. They don't want you talking about digital wearables or forageables and none of that shit. Talk about some Web3 shit because I came here for Web3, right? But you got to understand, like, All of this is part of it. And this is why I was so attracted to this project in the first place, because I am one who was meshing in multiple cultures. I get the Web3 technical side of it. I get the streetwear clothing side of it. I get the sneaker side of it. I get the culture side of it, period. So having this all come together as one situation is, this is fucking amazing. But when you try to go talk to people about the beauty of meshing all three of these cultures together, they want to hear what they want to hear. But this is what it's for. And once people recognize and accept that, I think then they can see the beauty of it all. And then they get more of an understanding on how and why they're moving the way that they're moving.
Dre,
See,
let me ask, like, why does it seem like PlayStation is a little bit more ingrained with the culture than like Xbox is per se? I didn't even know there were PlayStation Air Force Ones.
Japan is your
Japan.
answer.
Yeah, that's a
You
fact.
think so?
100%. Because PlayStation was in the video gaming. See, here's another thing I'm into. I always was in the video games, but PlayStation started off in video gaming, right? They were the first console to come out. There was no Microsoft Xbox. They jumped on that train after PlayStation blew everything up, coming out with the Sony PlayStation 1.
PlayStation predated Xbox?
Yeah.
But not before the Atari.
Yo,
But Atari,
After Nintendo,
Atari
after
and
Atari,
Microsoft.
Nintendo, and Super Nintendo, there was PlayStation.
Yeah.
PlayStation changed the game with the something with the graphics is what they did.
Here we go, because
There
Super
you
Super Nintendo was 16-bit. Sega Genesis was 16-bit. PlayStation was 128-bit. PlayStation was next level. They was the first, not first CD-ROM, because it was Sega CD that was an attachment to a Sega Genesis that took your 32.
Sega's
it took
just,
it to
I mean,
32-bit.
PlayStation just changed the game with
Dreamcast,
really
bro.
great games.
Dreamcast. Don't forget that too. That was
Dream.
go.
Let's
Hold
not
on,
talk
so
about the Saturn.
hold on. I had Sega Saturn, but hold on. I googled it. So Super Nintendo had 16-bit. Sega had 16-bit.
Yeah.
PS1 had 32. So that's what it was.
Double.
Okay.
Interesting.
Right.
That's a big jump, probably.
And that's when they started using CD-ROMs for video games. And then
Okay.
Sega CD came out, and it was an attachment to Sega Genesis that made them 32-bit. And
Yeah.
but Sony, to answer your question, Sony has been a part of pushing the boundaries of video gaming since the very beginning. And video games are in the same conversation as what we're talking about with establishing culture, like fashion
Yeah,
is.
of course.
And so when you mesh the two leaders of different cultures together, of course you're gonna have PlayStation. But you know what? Think about what you just said too, Vince. You got to think about this. PlayStation has always been a part of the culture, right?
Yeah.
What did we see Benoit wearing in that magazine?
That's what I'm asking, right?
You
Like,
see what I'm saying? Put the
yeah.
pieces together. If you
Well, so
look
here,
at
let me
it,
ask this: was PlayStation a standalone company, or did they sell to? Was it a division under Sony?
it was always Sony PlayStation.
Oh, really? So Sony started PlayStation.
Sony started PlayStation.
Okay.
Just again, I wanted to go and see if Nintendo and PlayStation had done anything together, and they did. So in 1988, Sony began working on a CD-based add-on that happened with started working on that back then, and we're working to help develop Super Nintendo.
But
So the answer is Japan.
What's
Well, yeah,
wild
super
is Sony was not even a contender in the race. It was always Nintendo and Sega.
So check this out. Sony PlayStation was the first ever console to ship 100 million units.
Yep.
And do you remember? I'm looking back. I just did a little history. Do y'all remember that game Twisted Metal and Ridge Racer?
Yes.
It had
yeah,
some of
bro.
the best games on it.
Yeah.
That's what Sony PlayStation did best. Is it had the best games.
And that's the thing that it still
100%.
does. It still has console exclusive video games. I just got finished watching The Last of Us. The Last of Us is based off the video game that was created by Naughty Dog. That was a Sony PlayStation exclusive, right? On PS4.
Yeah, same with Xbox.
Jack and Daxter.
Also,
Daxter,
I don't know if
Naughty Dog.
anybody has a PlayStation 5, but the
do.
native
The
Spider-Man
robot.
game that comes with it is super sick. Like, stupid, dumb sick, if you like Spider-Man.
And that's a console game, a Sony PlayStation console game only. But this is the point I'm making, that all of these things are tied together. If you look at it, it's about culture. It's about community. It's certain people who only rock with Sony PlayStation only. You say something about Xbox, they punch you in the
Right,
mouth.
right.
See what I'm saying? It's the same type of situation. And that's what spills over. All of these cultural similarities spill over to Web3. That's what I'm saying to people. Once people who understand and who are part of that video gaming world get a piece of what Artifact is doing, they all in. And then you can go to another culture. Once the fashion people who create digital fashion get a piece of what Artifact is doing, they all in. Then you go to another culture. Once the sneaker kids come in, they all in.
My
And
bags,
then
baby.
that's what I'm saying. It goes in so many different ways, and people complain about that initially. Damn, y'all doing way too much. But they cannot see that it's tying to all of the cultures that are moving this world. It's tying to every faction of them. And they taking care of it and knocking the shit out the box. Got Nike over here creating shoes and clothes. You see what I'm saying? It takes it to a whole nother level, but people aren't paying attention to the broader picture of it all. They just looking at their bags being at the floor price saying this, and now everybody else is calling us CloneX and all this other shit. But they're leading the space in every form in fashion. No pun intended.